distinguished guests, distinguished rectors, distinguished fathers of the church, distinguished students, distinguished professors, Mr. Rector, members of faculty. It's a very great honor to be here. I wish I could address you in your native language, and so I thank you for the courtesy of being able to speak to you in my language. I wanted to talk to you today about one word, and the word is freedom. Freedom for institutions and freedom for individuals. The two are deeply linked. You can't have personal freedom unless there is an institution around you that protects your freedom. As the rector of Central European University in Budapest, I've had very direct experience of the relationship between personal freedom and institutional freedom. And so I want to talk very directly to my fellow rectors in Polish universities, but I most of all want to talk directly to the bright young faces I see in front of me, students starting their careers at a marvelous university. I want to talk about the freedom to create, the freedom to think, the freedom to be yourself. Poles and Hungarians and Czechs, more than almost any other people you can think of, understand that there is no personal freedom without democratic freedom, without public freedom, without institutional freedom. During the times of communism in all of these societies, many people practiced what they called internal freedom or internal migration. In the face of totalitarianism, in the face of public oppression, people lived a life of internal freedom, spiritual freedom inside their private lives, their churches, their private institutions. But everybody knew who'd gone through that experience of internal freedom is that it was an empty freedom at the end. It allowed for defiance, it allowed for resilience, but it couldn't flourish because personal freedom was not connected to public freedom, to institutional freedom. And I think we've learned in the long transition since the end of communism, since 1989, the crucial importance of free institutions to democracy. By free institutions, I mean courts, I mean free media, and above all, I mean universities. I think when we started the voyage into freedom after 1989, we may not have understood how important academic freedom was to democratic freedom as a whole. Academic freedom is not the privilege of an elite caste. It's not the privilege of professors or of students. It's a freedom that makes possible freedom for all of the citizens of a free society. The freedom that we protect on behalf of everybody is the freedom to think, the freedom to know, the freedom to research. It's the freedom of knowledge. The rector has made reference to the post-truth universe. A university has to stand foursquare against the post-truth universe. We're the guardians of what could be called the archipelago of knowledge. We're the people who say there are some things that are true and some things that are false. We are the people who guard the distinction between opinion, rumor, fact, and knowledge. We're the people who teach our students there's a difference between a tweet and a fact, between a rumor and something that's actually true. This is often a lonely battle since politicians of all kinds, and I've been a politician so I can speak honestly to you, sometimes we play a little fast and loose with the facts. And the job of universities is to remind us that there is a domain of knowledge upon which public choice can be based, upon which public choice can be shaped. And we have to defend that archipelago with all our might. And sometimes, and here's the difficult part, we have to defend it against democracy itself or against majority opinion. One of the most difficult challenges of being a free institution is that we're anti-majoritarian. Sometimes a university has to stand up against the elected will of the people. Sometimes it has to stand up against 50+1% of the population. Sometimes it has to stand for truth when it's extremely difficult. Equally, we have a responsibility. A rector has to sometimes stand up against the nonsense talked in his own house and stand up for academic rigor, stand up against intellectual fashion, stand up against ideology. The rector said earlier we must be a forum for free debate. But it's very important that a university be an open house, a free house, for conservative opinions, for religious opinions, for secular opinions, for opinions that are unpopular, for opinions that are too popular. Creating and holding that free space is extremely difficult for a university. I face that difficulty every day. When a university gives a house to an opinion, it doesn't necessarily endorse that opinion. It simply wants to give a house to that opinion so it can speak and be heard. So we have an authority as the guardian of free space for debate, and it's an authority that we must maintain by being fair, by being just, by giving equal space to different opinions. But we're an anti-majoritarian bulwark that protects democracy against itself in the same way that courts sometimes have to defend democracy against majority and legislative opinion that turn out to be wrong. In the same way that sometimes the media have to stand up and defend an opinion against majority pressure and ideology. And we have the same job. I have had a battle in Hungary for the last 6 months to maintain the freedom of my institution. And I've learned from that battle a few simple lessons. The first of them is that there is much more support for academic freedom in the general public than you would suppose. Many people who never have a chance to go to a university, a postman, a baker, I look like a baker today, I think. Humble people who not even managed to graduate high school have turned out to be very good friends of the university. We owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. They understand that their freedom, however obscurely, is connected to our freedom. And a university must always be reaching out to the population, to the public, to the general public, saying, come on in, learn with us, join with us. Share the benefits of knowledge to as wide a population as we possibly can. So we need friends. We need friends in the civic community. Each university needs to make friends with other universities. I can't tell you how much I have benefited from the affection and support of other rectors of other Hungarian universities who understood that our battle to stay open in Budapest is their battle. And that's why I'm particularly delighted to see all these very distinguished gentlemen in robes in front of me. Their support for this university is a sign of the solidarity that universities may need in the future if they come under pressure from any quarter, from the left, from the right, from the center, from wherever. That solidarity of universities in the face of pressure from majority opinion and majority governments is an extremely important resource. The other thing that's very important is to secure international support. I'm delighted to see international students here. It's very important to sustain international connections that allow universities to stand and say, when we fight for academic freedom in Poland, we're fighting for academic freedom for every university around the world. So these are the things that I have learned in the battle to defend our freedom. Our battle is not over. It is finally poised. I'm not here to use this platform to engage in vain polemics against the Hungarian government. All I can say is that I hope that this matter is quickly resolved and that I go back to doing what I really like, which is being an academic and a scholar. Because that's another element of the battle that universities have to maintain. We're not political institutions. We're not NGOs. We're not political parties. In defending our institutions, we must never become a ping pong or a hostage of political battles. And so maintaining our academic independence, defending our academic freedom without being captured by political parties of any side is an extremely difficult challenge, one that I have tried to maintain. I'm not the opposition to Mr. Viktor Orban. I'm defending a university, and there's a big difference between the two. So that's some thoughts about academic freedom. They are thoughts that try to connect academic freedom to the idea of democratic freedom. I now want to talk a little bit more directly about personal freedom, talk to students, and suggest to you that one of the things you're trying to do here, apart from getting qualifications that I hope will get you a wonderful job in the Polish economy or the European economy or the global economy, apart from honing your skills and developing your analytical capacities, your capacity to think, I think the basic thing you're trying to do here is learn how to be free men and women. And let me tell you something, there's nothing harder. I am much older than you. There's a lot of road behind me. I've been a politician, I've been a writer, I've been a historian, I've been an academic, I've been a university president. I'm 70 years old. I'm still trying to be free. Remember that. This voyage of freedom doesn't end here. It starts here. And the voyage to be free is a voyage to think for yourself. And nothing is more difficult. Universities are swept by ideological fashions, discourses of various kinds that take over universities in a mysterious way like an infection, and everybody starts talking the same way. Resist the fashions. Concentrate on the great ancient books that have survived the test of time. Things that have survived a very long time have been tested, and they've often proven their worth. The old books are often better than the new books, is one thing I've learned. But the struggle to think for yourself is incredibly difficult. I think of myself as a liberal, progressive person. I support a whole set of good causes. I've tried to do so thoughtfully all my life. But I can tell you one of my battles is to remain free of liberal ideology, to remain free of progressive cant, to remain free of liberal cliché. It's a great struggle. To be open to the wisdom of religious thought, if you're a secular person. If you're a secular person, to be open to the wisdom of other religions. If you're a religious person, to give space and time to the thought and wisdom of the secular tradition. If you're a conservative, to listen carefully to what liberals have said to challenge conservative doctrine. If you're a liberal, to listen carefully to the challenges that have been made for centuries by conservatives against liberal doctrine. To understand that that the truth is hard to find. The truth is contested. Some things have stood the test of time, but the rest of it is a battleground. And you will feel lonely at times. You'll feel isolated at times. How do I find my way in this contending battle of opinion? This is what this university has to teach you, to feel there's granite under your feet, the granite of knowledge, the granite of principle, the granite of truth, no matter how hard it is to find it. And it's found in the lab, it's found in the library, it's found in conversation with your friends, it's found in dialogue with the international students who enrich this place. But open your hearts, open your minds, listen, listen, listen. Do less talking, more listening. Be unafraid to change your mind when you're wrong. Be unafraid to say, I got it wrong. Be unafraid to say, you're right, I'm wrong. These are some of the toughest things to do in life. And in my struggle to be a free man, I've had to struggle with that all my life. I come home and my wife says to me, you're wrong. Nothing more difficult in the world to admit that your wife is right. And I'm afraid to tell you she often is right. Terrible thing. So it's a battle in the heart of your home. It's a battle in the heart of your life. And it's a battle that we have to win. Free societies, democratic societies, cannot function without free men and women, with people who are stubbornly insistent on their right to find and establish the truth. Yes, with the help of other authorities, secular and religious, with the help of knowledge, with the help of universities. But at the end of the day, this is a lonely battle that must be won by each one of you students in your own hearts and your own minds, so that you stand there in the world with some granite under your feet, so that you're not blown by this opinion and that opinion, so you stand with a sense of courage and determination in what you know. And just to repeat what I said, I'm still on the road, and I hope you'll join me on the road. In seeking inspiration for that journey on the road, I want to conclude by reading something written by one of your greatest Polish poets. Why am I reading it? Because a month ago, at the commencement exercise identical to this, in my university in Budapest, we read this poem, this Polish poem. It's by Czesław Miłosz. It's called Incantation. And it's my way of paying tribute to the wisdom and beauty of the Polish tradition, which is a gift that your country has made through your brilliant poets to the world. So let me read it to you. I'm afraid I read it in English, which is a poor imitation of its beauty in the original, but you will forgive me. What else can I do? It's called Incantation, and it goes like this. Human reason is beautiful and invincible. No bars, no barbed wire, no pulping of books, no sentence of banishment can prevail against it. It establishes the universal ideas in language and guides our hands so we write truth and justice with capital letters, lie and oppression with small. It puts what should be above things as they are, is an enemy of despair and a friend of hope. It does not know Jew from Greek or slave from master, giving us the estate of the world to manage. It saves austere and transparent phrases from the filthy discord of tortured words. It says that everything is new under the sun. It opens the congealed fist of the past. Beautiful and very young are philosophia, and poetry, her ally in the service of the good. As late as yesterday, nature celebrated their birth. The news was brought to the mountains by a unicorn and an echo. Their friendship will be glorious. Their time has no limit. Their enemies have delivered themselves to destruction. Thank you.